So when she was born, her eyes wobbled, and then when it was her 8-month check with the health visitors, they said that Myla didn't turn to see someone new coming into the room. So that was the first sort of like, oh, okay, something's maybe wrong here. Had the MRI scan, and then she was sort of like seen by Moorfields, and it was said that she had nystagmus. It was an incredibly scary time. I remember sort of just almost like waking up having sort of like panic attacks. I think it's the unknown. It's just sort of like not actually knowing how this was going to pan out, what sort of effect it was going to have on us as a family, as Myla and her future, all those sorts of things.
Come on then. Not too fast, Henry.
When she was born, I just felt incredibly lucky because Henry was second round IVF, and we'd really struggled to even fall pregnant. Myla's pregnancy all felt like a bit of a whirlwind because I was like, oh my goodness, I'm pregnant. And then to have her, and I had her at home, and it was a really magical birth. I can actually even remember walking over to her 8-month check in the buggy and just feeling like I was just, every box had been ticked. It was all like, you know, perfect. It's like I had 2 children, I had a husband, everything was just, so then to find out that something wasn't quite right with your little child was devastating. Both of us felt very sort of on our own, really, in terms of having anyone that was in a similar situation, or anyone that could offer any guidance at all. Moorfields gave us like a card, and they just literally scribbled the RSBC on there, and then basically I just sort of like went on the website and got in contact, and it just made me feel like, okay, there's lots of other people out there like this.
Bob has a dad.
That's it. And then through that there was another mum who I met. She had a little girl, Rose, who was the same age as Myla. We were both in a very similar situation. We were both working mums, had young little girls that were both visually impaired, and we both had older sons that were fully sighted. Rose was it was picked up right at birth with regards to her sort of visual impairment. So Rose was that little bit more further down the line than me. So it was very comforting to speak to someone that was sort of like, it's going to be all right. So I actually had some sort of like counselling. I remember before I started that just thinking, how is talking to someone going to help my mental state? And it really did massively help, just from talking out how I was feeling. The other thing that is massively important, going back, a few years ago, I would always be focusing on what she can't do, and that's not what you should be doing. I totally do it now. I focus on what she can do. It's just, there's so many things out there. And the other sort of advice that I would give to parents is basically there's so many organisations and charities, and there are people there that can offer you advice, and on social media there's all those sorts of things as well, and just use them as you best see fit. For me, I just dip my toe into them when I need them, because that's a part of Myla's life. She's visually impaired, there's no sort of moving away from that, but I use that when I need to, and then when it's time for us just to be a normal family, just getting on with normal stuff, that's when we do that as well. So it's just having those little networks out there that are available.
No. This one?
The future isn't as you've planned it, sort of thing. That's the best way. You sort of, maybe you have set out how things are going to be, and suddenly something happens and it's not going to be like that at all. And I think basically what this has done for me personally is just sort of like realise that, my goodness, I think you idealise life, grow up, have 2 children, and all it's hunky-dory, but life's not like that really. And actually, we have a child who's visually impaired. There's many other people that have sort of families that aren't quite as you maybe thought that it would be, and that's okay. And I think it makes your life richer. I think as a person now, I don't sweat the small stuff anymore. My children spend time with people that maybe have visual impairments, and at first I remember Henry in particular was very sort of like, oh, you know, if maybe someone's feeling around a little bit more, and now he's just like completely normal with it, as if like, you know, and just will be sort of like, you know, helping and or watching out for someone. He's only 5, so in the sort of like 2 or 3 years or so where he's been spending more time with children that've got visual impairment, he's just really sort of tuned into it, and like how great is that?